Good morning. It's Tuesday, May 20th. I'm Alison Bologna. I am live in the newsroom right now at our digital desk, and I'm joined by my good friend and colleague, Gene Valicenti, who is in one of his many studios, one of his many home studios. I can't keep track of all the studios, Gene. We have Channel 10.
You're
we have
right.
a couple studios inside your house, and then PRO, of course. It's coffee break time. How are you?
I'm great. Nice to be with you. This is where I do the radio show every morning, so that's what this is. That's what this
Looks
is.
Great.
Yep.
I didn't hear you this morning because we were dealing with some breaking news, which I'm sure you covered as well.
Yeah.
4:30 in the morning is when we go on the air, and we learned about Matunic Oyster Bar.
Yep.
When we got down there today, Gene, it looked like this.
Wow.
But we're seeing video now from social media sources and other folks, like Betty Jo was sending me pictures to, our former news director. This thing was on fire. Flames were really ripping through this morning. They think the fire started around 4 o'clock. By the time we got there, it was probably 4:45. More smoldering than anything else. What do you think of this? I'm hearing it's a total disaster, a total loss.
Well, from what I could see, I mean, it looks very, very bad. Last time, did you and I go down there to eat dinner once? Have you and I been there together? I don't remember. But the last time I was there, I ate upstairs, which looks like where a lot of the damage was. And it's a shame. That's such a popular business. I mean, it's tough to get
Oh my gosh, what a
now
business.
with the summer
One of the most
season
popular
heating
restaurants.
Yeah,
Yes, one of the most popular restaurants in Rhode Island for sure. The signs are still there. They're kind of iconic at this point. But this video is a little bit deceiving, to tell you the truth, because earlier the fire started ground floor, it looked like, and ripped all the way up and through. I've never been up to the roof deck. The last time I was there was on the ground floor, but everybody loves it. And so many kids from URI, of course, work there as well, too. And it's Memorial Day weekend. So we'll have to see what's going to happen. A lot of people are saying the timing is really strange. This is not like the first restaurant like this to go up in flames.
No, what was it?
Of a couple of years, right?
The 210 Oyster Bar went up in flames, and then it took a while to rebuild that. Just as that reopened, now this one goes up in flames. I haven't been up to the top deck. I've been to the second floor, and he's famous for harvesting the oysters right in the pond behind him. So it's like it's pond to table, and he had a magnificent business. I mean, it's tough to get a table. You can't get a parking space.
And Rhode Islanders who I know who grew up here said there were so many failed restaurants in this spot until Perry took it over. And now it's just like a gold mine. And he's so involved, as we know. I mean, you'll see him wiping down tables in between turns. So yeah, it's really a devastating loss right now. But a lot of people, I was actually listening to PRO after sunrise, and a lot of people were also saying that if anybody's going to rebuild and rebuild fast, it'll be him.
Yeah, I think he's got a booming business there. I don't see why hopefully he rebuilds it bigger and better and moves on from this. We were talking about on my radio show, restaurant fires in Rhode Island. We've had a lot of them.
Right? Block Island.
Even years ago, Twin Oaks had a big fire.
Yeah.
The Finns, Harborside.
Has that reopened?
Right? Remember that one?
Yes, Carol and crew. Has it reopened?
He hasn't reopened yet. No,
he hasn't. Okay.
I may have him on. It's an ordeal to deal with the insurance companies, and if you're on the waterfront, you have to bring all kinds of agencies in. So it's not an easy thing to rebuild a waterfront restaurant in Rhode Island.
Listen, we have a quick soundbite from the chief who was on the scene at Matunic Oyster Bar. So let's listen to that really quickly.
Okay. Everybody in town either works or knows somebody that works at the Oyster Bar or comes here and enjoys the Oyster Bar. So again, we're just saddened for all the employees and the owner.
And do you have good memories here? I'm sure everyone who's here can say something nice.
Yeah, I think anybody that almost in Rhode Island now, but especially anybody that lives in town, anytime I have anybody visiting me, the place we always take them is the Oyster Bar. So it will certainly be missed. We look forward to seeing them rebuild and be back in business as soon as possible.
Oh, it's so upsetting. It's really iconic in Rhode Island. I haven't been in a bit of time, but always such a good time. My stepson works at a restaurant, Celeste, in Narragansett. So all of them down there talk.
He waited on me.
Oh, that's right. He did.
And I gave him a good report.
Good. I hope you gave him a good tip, too. He's great.
I gave him a good tip, too.
Roommate also works in Matunic, and those kids make a lot of money down there in the summer. Yeah. So this affects so many people for sure. Our hearts go out to the owners and everybody working there, but I'm sure they'll rebuild. Jason, thanks for joining us. It wasn't windy up here in Cranston when all this was happening, but the fire chief did say that wind did not cooperate with them when they were trying to put out those hot spots. How's the weather now?
The weather is okay, we'll say. We have these clouds in place, a little bit of blue sky kind of peeking out directly overhead here in Cranston, but Alison, from this point forward today, the big story is going to be all about the clouds, the cool conditions, and then a little bit of a chilly breeze. The worst of the wind is over, but We're still going to have that noticeably cool breeze now out of the northeast through the rest of the day, and that's going to keep our temperatures for most of us, especially across southeast Massachusetts, in the upper 50s. Maybe some of the warmer spots down towards westerly get up close to the low 60s, but really don't hold your breath for much more of an improvement in the temperature department. As we go into tomorrow, we're gearing up for our big nor'easter that's going to be making an impact here in southern New England starting Wednesday evening, bringing some light rain showers to the area, probably starting sometime between about 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Another cool, cloudy day overall, but it's looking like we're going to have a Storm Team 10 weather alert for Thursday, as that nor'easter is going to bring some torrential rain to the region in the order of maybe 1 to possibly 3 inches of rain, along with some windy conditions too out of the east. And overall, Thursday is just going to be a nasty, nasty day. But we do have some improvements for Memorial Day weekend, which is our little positive spin. If we can deal with this nor'easter, hopefully we'll be able to enjoy a little bit of sunshine.
All right, I'll set us up nicely for the weekend. Is Gene still with us? I don't know. Jason, thank you. Okay, good. Bishop Bruce, big day for Bishop Bruce.
2 o'clock, his inaugural mass. This is the new Bishop of Providence, appointed by the Pope just before he passed away. Just got him in as the one of the last bishop appointments that from Pope Francis. That's him. Call me Bishop Bruce Lewandowski. Coming into us from, where is it, Alison, again? Baltimore, I believe.
I believe he's coming up from Baltimore.
Baltimore.
He's pretty young.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how long he stays with us. The last bishop only stayed, not even a year.
3 months?
Yeah.
6 months? Something like that.
We got a big promotion up to Boston. That's kind of an aberration. I expect this one to be here a little longer. But the inaugural mass today, the governor's going to go there, so that should be a nice event.
You've met him before, right?
I went. Well, they had the opening news conference when he came, and that's why I interviewed him, wished him the best. He's got a little liberal bent to him, which is not surprising, having been appointed by Francis. Talks a lot about immigrant rights, things like that. So we'll see where he takes the Diocese of Providence, which, like any diocese, is challenged with not enough priests, and churches are closing, and the parishes aren't big enough. It's funny, some churches are booming, some you can't get in. And the fundraisers are through the roof. Others, they're struggling; they have to close. The good news for this bishop and for the Catholic world in general is that Catholic enrollment in Catholic schools is way up. It spiked during COVID.
Well, think about it. Also, compared to some of the prep schools that are $60,000-$70,000 a year, you can get a lot, would say, an arguably comparable education at a Catholic school for $20,000 a year. So
a lot of it had to do with
so many around here.
Yeah, a lot of it had to do with the political correctness and DEI pushback from parents, and they're getting what they want in Catholic schools.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Also, Karen Read, you're on it each and every day. The big thing yesterday was the timeline surrounding the movements of her SUV. Yes. What was your takeaway from that?
Well, listen, apart from whether or not you think the Karen Read case is compelling or interesting, we are learning a lot about what your automobile is doing, and you're not even aware of it. All of the newer cars have black boxes that record the movements of vehicles and track them. They can tell when the car was in reverse, when it was going forward, when it was hit, whether you have the radio or the lights on. This is interesting. The black box in your car tells a lot. And in addition to that, your cell phone tells a lot about what you've been up to, too. When you're moving, when you're not moving, when you're stopping. So, the state is trying to show time of the accident, if it was an accident, if Karen Read hit her boyfriend, John O'Keefe, and left him in the snow. Does her car, her SUV, show a sudden jolt, 12:30 in the morning? And does his phone do the same thing shortly thereafter? Does it show a sudden jolt and stop? So they brought a forensic expert yesterday to try to square the two, the black box in the car and the cell phone.
And is this expert new from the last trial? Is this new?
Well, this is Shannon Burgess. Now, yesterday he was absolutely torn apart by the defense, who apparently his resume is all wrong, his LinkedIn is inaccurate, and he puts himself forward as an expert, but he's been studying for a bachelor's degree for 17 years. 17
years. Okay, that was my follow-up question. 17. Yeah. How does that work?
Well, I don't think it works for the state. I don't think it works at all. There's I've covered enough trials, and there was one I really remember from my earlier days, and it was a defense attorney who was he used the phrase false in one, false in all. In other words, if you're wrong on one item, then you're wrong on all. And the analogy he used was if I'm at a stew pot and I pick out a piece of meat that's rancid, I don't go back and look for one that's good. I throw the whole pot out. So, your resume is wrong. You put yourself forward as an expert. Your LinkedIn is all out of whack. Is it false?
What do you believe, right? If anything at all. Katie Benoit has a little bit from the court, so let's toss to that real fast.
Go ahead.
Oh, we don't have that? We kind of have a producer here. Not totally sure. All right, I don't think we have it after all. Dan's talking to me from behind the curtain. All right, what about the Chromebooks blowing up?
Well,
why is this happening?
First of all, the kids don't even want those Chromebooks.
Right.
Okay? They consider them to be cheap pieces of crap. We insist on giving kids Chromebooks. They don't want them. And now they're showing us just how much they don't want them
with stuff
by jamming things in the power ports to set them on fire. It happened at Del Sesto
Middle School, yes.
Del Sesto Middle School.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's not isolated.
I don't know what to make of it as much as I don't know what to make of TikTok,
I don't know either.
TikTok trends that show cops being baited and people fighting and supermarket pranks.
Right.
Part of it.
But here's the problem. 2 students and somebody from staff had to go to the hospital for smoke inhalation. So this is really, really bad. Yeah. By the way, Starbucks, I just came from there, got a little green tea. They've got some strawberry stuff that they're putting out right now. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know why we always put this on the news, though. It's like free advertisements. But
I don't
spend a lot of money at Starbucks.
I don't care.
I know you're Dunkin', I'm Starbucks.
Dunkin' guy.
We're a little different there.
By the way, Alison, did you happen to catch my interview with Mark Pearlman, the CEO of JobLot, on 10 News Conference over the weekend?
I did not.
He's very good when he comes on.
Very charitable.
Mark Pearlman. Oh, they are, Mike. I think they might be one of the biggest philanthropists in the state. They give a lot of money away. And he's talking about tariffs. And, he pays the tariffs. When the container of goods comes in from overseas, it's at Port Newark.
He's saying he's not passing it along?
Well, he says, the importer, the customer, pays the tariffs. And then he can split it up 3 ways. He can go back to the maker, let's say flip-flops from China. He can go back and tell the maker of flip-flops, I'm not going to give you 50 cents a pair. I'm only going to give you 40 cents a pair because you're going to share some of the pain. And then he says, I'll eat some of the pain and some of it will go to the customers. So it's very interesting. And he also put forth, you got to go back and listen to the interview. He said, the way to get even with the Chinese, and he's not against punishing the Chinese. He said they play dirty when it comes to business. Not against being tough with the Chinese, but he said the way to do it would have been to ease up on tariffs, go to 0 tariffs with the Chinese competitors like Vietnam and Malaysia and places like that, Cambodia. And then the Chinese would lose all their factories and all their jobs to the competitors.
I need to get caught up on this. Okay.
So he said you're helping yourself, you're helping the other countries, and you're hurting China. He thought that would have been a better way. And then we went into the conversation about truck tolls, which I guess is another form of tariff, right? He says I got to pay the truck tolls now.
Right. Oh, that's a good point.
He said my truck coming in loaded with goods is going to be taxed going and coming maybe 8 times a day because it runs 24/7. So it's a good interview, and I hope people watching this will take a look at it. I
missed that. I think it was gardening on Sunday. Is he a Rhode Islander, native Rhode Islander?
Well, no. The story is they're both from New York area.
Okay.
Him and his brother, and I guess maybe 30, 40 years ago, whenever they started, he was driving a cab in Manhattan. And he didn't like his job. And his brother was an attorney upstate New York, wasn't crazy about his job. And Mark would always pass this place called the Odd Lot Trading Post in Lower Manhattan, which was a discount kind of a place. And he would always see there were crowds and people doing business. And he called his brother up and he said, listen, you hate your job. I hate my job. Why don't we try to do this? So they started buying.
That. Wow, I didn't know that story.
Small stuff in flea markets. And then they got bigger and they needed a store. And they couldn't afford to rent in New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut. So guess where they came?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Oh my gosh, I love this. This is such a great founder story.
Yeah, that's the story.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, that's how they got here because the rent was cheap enough.
How industrious.
Isn't that interesting?
Amazing.
Yeah. And now they do business. Most of their business is outside Rhode Island. 90% of their business are in stores. They're all over the Northeast, all the way down to Delaware.
Incredible company. Yeah. So they really drive those prices down. It's great for pool stuff.
Yep.
Pool stuff. I go there all the time for pool stuff. All right, we're going to close with this. Sesame Street. I'm surprised this hasn't happened yet. Is moving over to Netflix. 56 seasons.
Yep, and this is they were on HBO.
Right. After PBS.
They've been making money off this thing many different ways. So they had Sesame Street going on PBS, and then HBO bought the rights, and now it's going to go to Netflix, so you can watch it on Netflix, which is going to pay a nice penny. to the public television people.
Right.
Which goes to the whole notion of how much money they really need. Trump is going after public television. There's a lot to this story, Alison. There's a lot of ways that money is being made.
Right. Interesting.
In addition to just the fundraisers.
I grew up on Sesame Street, obviously. So, it's wild. All right. Well, it's been kind of a weird morning with the fire at Matunic. We're going to stay on that, of course, all day. That'll be live at noon. We'll have some updated reports on that. Then you'll be on Karen Read later today, right?
I'll be on camera. We do the debrief after 5 o'clock on the NBC 10 WJAR YouTube channel, which I believe some folks are watching us on now. Where you can also watch gavel to gavel coverage, and then we put it in the synopsis for 7 o'clock, and I have it on the radio, so you won't miss a minute of the court action in Karen Read.
You really won't. It's everywhere. And how many years did it take you to do undergrad?
I did it in
3?
4.
Same.
I did it in 4.
All right, we win. 4 years, not 17. All right,
Although
thank you
beat me. You beat me because you went. Where'd you go for your master's? Columbia, yeah. And then you went for another master's at Harvard.
I did.
Okay, I stopped at Fairleigh Dickinson in 1980.
Well, listen, we have the same job, so here we are. I don't know if I needed all that.
You have bragging rights.
Well, if you say so. And now I just finished a gardening class. So if Diane needs any help, not that I'm a master yet, but I'm definitely willing to dig into the soil.
Nice. You want to see some of the stuff?
I love to learn stuff. You know me. I'm always curious.
You want to see my? Let me see. This I got from WPRO.
I like it. With a little line.
It's gin and tonic. It's 5 to 9 somewhere.
Who made that?
I like Steuben glass. I collect that. You know that, right?
Yeah.
The Steuben apples.
That's nice.
And,
Tiffany's glass.
This is my Tom Tucker here.
Now that is the biggest compliment.
From
Family Guy.
Family Guy.
That is the biggest compliment. It really is, of everything.
Well, by the way, here's a secret. You see all these books? All these books came from the Salvation Army thrift store.
That's how you decorate.
No, I like to go to the Salvation Army thrift store. Their book department is unbelievable. 3 for $1.
Really?
The books are brand new.
Which one, though?
This
one's
right
a little different. No, I mean, which shop?
All of them.
Really?
I went up to Woonsocket last week. Look at this book. This is part of the 3 series of William Manchester's on Churchill. This book was $44 originally. It looks brand new. People buy books, they don't read them. 33 cents.
I thought you were buying them just to fill up your shelves.
Have you read that book yet, Gene?
Have I began? Well, it's a pretty thick book.
Aha! I'm not totally wrong.
Between radio, TV, and coffee break, I have
busy.
I know, that's the thing. Who has time? I know.
Yeah. But isn't that
I have a week off.
Well, I gave the
I
secret away.
to read a book.
I don't want to tell people.
From cover to cover. But you read nonfiction. I tend to read fiction lately, so just have a break from
I read everything. You want to know what I got here? Let's see. Hold on. This is Judge Caprio's new book.
Oh, I want to read that. Did he sign it for you?
He did. This is now, if you're interested in the restaurant industry, this is Restaurant Man by Joe Bastianich. He owns Eataly. That's Lydia's son. Fantastic book on restaurants.
Which basically says never do it, right?
I read a while ago, Bob Hope.
Yeah.
Look at us. I got Politics and Pasta, Cianci's old book.
Did you read it?
What else have I got? I went to Pompeii in October. I bought the Pompeii book.
Oh, Christina just got back from there. Said they just opened up a new exhibit since you were there and said it was amazing.
This one I bought. I don't know. I always wanted to read Anna Karenina, but the Tolstoys. This is thick book.
Well, when's your next video? Well, you can do it. Skim it.
Yeah.
Get the good stuff.
We'll continue
for
the next one.
Dan, are you listening? Our producer, Dan, who happens to be our assistant news director, too. I'm going to do this one of these days from my home office up in my attic, and I'm going to go through all my books and all my stuff, and we'll see what I can bring up, too. I think people like to kind of see a window into our world sometimes.
I think they do.
I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Very well appointed offices. It's
very well done, Gene. You know, those of you who don't know him that well, he loves to shop, he loves antiques, and he loves art.
I do.
Big on all those things.
That's my weaknesses.
Same, ditto. That's why we have a lot in common. All right, Gene, I'm going to let you go.
All right.
More work to get to, but I'll see you when I see you, okay?
It's been a pleasure being your guest on Coffee Break.
Well, thank you, Gene Valicenti.
All right.
Ciao for now.
Bye.